All right, everybody, welcome back to the Milan-ish podcast. I still don't know a name. Been very lazy with it. I think we'll decide a name, Matt, the second Milan finally win a match. I think we'll do that because it's just, as you see below, a free fall. This is the worst stretch of form in terms of results, goals allowed, just management top to bottom, everything in a very long time. I don't even think Banter era felt this kind of hopeless with wins. At certain points, it did, but relative to the expectation coming into the season, this is definitely the most disappointing Milan have been in years, and it's really sad to see because free fall doesn't even do it justice at this point. We're talking about poor selections, poor effort, and on top of it, awful results. Let's start with the latest one, the Milan Derby. We were talking about it, talked about it with Mario. Thanks for him to come on. I mean, dude, with the formation that was set up for Milan, it was obviously going for counterattacking football in which they don't start Leao. And then there's only one goal conceded. A bunch of shots were right at Tatarusanu. Credit, I don't even want to give that much credit to the guy for making basic saves, but he did his job. So kudos to him, I guess. And then it was a marginal Lautaro Martinez forehead offside for a 2-0. Again, just another derby loss. This is nothing new, but Matt, it's bad. It's bad.
Very bad. And you speaking on more so the like more finer details of what went wrong, why it went wrong, all that stuff for Milan in the derby last weekend. Federico Di Marco pretty much surmised my thoughts exactly, right? And this is me paraphrasing what he said to the media after the match.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he thought that Milan was going to show up and they were going to look to scrap, like fight, like, okay, like this is a huge match. This is the derby. Like, this is the launching point. This is the match that if you're trying to break out of a funk, you're using that derby as fuel. And that's kind of what I was hoping would be the case. Same for you. And I know we spoke to Mario. He seemed like, Inter ain't going to do anything. DeMarco stinks, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, the guys are kind of going to win. I think it's going to happen. Hence the money line bet that we had on that. That hit. So I guess that's really the only good thing is that we made money on that match.
Lautaro goal.
Yeah, Lautaro goal.
Shocker.
But basically, Milan approached that game. Pioli approached that game really with not an intention to win. More not cowardly,
get it.
More of like an afraid. We're afraid to play. We're afraid to come out of our shape to bring it to you
Happy
guys.
to get a draw.
Happy to get a draw. Maybe we take our chances, one or two. We push up and maybe we steal a goal. I would have been, given how we have been playing and how dysfunctional we've been defensively and really in all phases of the game, I would have been saying, you know what? I get it, right? Because our result would have went a long way, even if it wasn't a victory, right? I said that in the pre-match show, basically saying we need a good performance. If this is a draw and Milan play pretty well, or at least better than what we have seen in the early stages of this year, then I think you kind of hang your hat on that. We didn't see anything like that. And it really started to get to your point with the selection of leaving out Leao. So if you're going to hit them on the counter, the one singular guy that we have that is a huge threat that can make the difference on the counter started on the bench. And in my head, I'm thinking, I see the reported lineups coming out in the build-up to this match, and I see no Leao. I'm like, surely Pioli's not going to do that, right? Unless there's an injury that we're not seeing in the media, unless there's attitude issue. And it's weird because he posted something on his Instagram. I don't look too much into these things, but he posted something on Instagram that I think he was like at a concert or something. I'm not exactly sure if that's the truth or if anything's there. But bottom line is this. That was not even remotely in factor here. It was strictly tactical with Pioli. He truly in his heart believed Origi and Giroud in a 3-5-2 up top, 3-5-2, 5-3-2, however you want to kind of explain it.
They were wingbacks. It was a five. Yeah. It was a 5-man midfield. If anyone had,
we all know what one wingback doesn't provide. Calabria doesn't do
because he's not a wingback. Because again, let's talk about positionally the selections for this.
Yeah,
Gabbia, right? We'll start with him at the back. Actually, we'll go to Tatarusanu. Shouldn't be starting. Try anyone else. Try it. He had a decent game. Whoop-dee, brother. The guy had shots right at him.
How do you bring in a 24-year-old goalkeeper? 24-year-old goalkeeper in January.
Say he's not ready.
And he's not ready. So why do you bring him in? What happens?
Everybody's not ready. Everybody's not ready to these guys.
What if Tatarusanu, 36 years old, however old he is, just absolutely snaps his leg? Don't wish that on anybody. God forbid that happens, because the way things are going with Milan, when it rains, it pours, an injury can happen to this team. Hence, Benacer randomly getting an injury, right?
Yep.
What if the guy gets injured? He's got to be ready now, because you don't have a choice. So the more I see those things, the more I see his selections, the more I see all the things unfolding before our eyes, the more I see that it's a dead man walking. I think this is a guy that's going to go out on his terms. If he is going to go out, if he is going to be let go of his job, right, from his job, I don't think that's going to case, because the more it builds up and the more I see the comments in the media and the more I realize the other factors with his contract and who else are going to get in.
Really just one more season left with an option.
I think, I think he's staying. I don't, barring like.
Okay. Well, we'll go with this. I still want to go through the entire selection because I have a ton of beef with it.
Okay.
The Tatarusanu stuff, awful, whatever. You covered it. We said it. It's a dead horse at this point. Gabbia. What did he show during the Sassuolo match, Matt? Okay. That warranted a start. He's the guy culpable for the Fratesi shot being launched at. Okay, he almost concedes a penalty in this one. It's very marginal. If Dzeko didn't go down as easy as he did, Gabbia's still playing that poorly. Even if he got away with the penalty, it was awful. Okay, he's shaky. He lacks confidence. He doesn't have focus most of the time. Chaw comes in better than any defender that was on the pitch. More aggressive, reading the game better. Physically, Lukaku threw him to the ground, guys, okay? People who say Lukaku outmuscled him. All right, well, Lukaku had to throw him down. That's not outmuscling to the point like where he was with Romagnoli and other players. That wasn't like that. He had to grab him by the jersey and throw him down. If you had eyes watching the match, you would see that, okay? He had good reads on Barella as well. What does it get rewarded with, Matt? Okay? We see the predicted 11 doesn't even have him in it, and we'll get to the Torino preview. So, again, with Gabbia, embarrassing, okay? Now, we go to the midfield, or the five-man system. Calabria is not a wing-back. He could barely keep up with wingers in a four-back system. Why is he playing a wing-back position where he's not quick enough, where he's not strong enough, where he's not smart enough, where he's not skillful enough to do this? Every single major box that you need to check in order to play that position, he does not have. You can't check off a single thing besides Milan fans since 8 years old. That's it, okay? Alexis Salamakers, who we all know and say we don't love that much, but if we were to have to put him in a preferred position, you say it, I say it, everybody says it, it's wingback. It's wingback, and he doesn't do it. And he's not even doing it in the preview for the Torino one, okay? Krunic, I understand. Benacer's out. I don't mind that. Tonali, I get that. Teo, I get that. Now the two guys up top. You sat the MVP. You sat the MVP. There's nothing else left to say. 2 straight games, by the way. You were being nice. He sat him against Sassuolo. And then again, even to the point, he doesn't even put him on at halftime. Okay? He has to wait 8 minutes. For what? What was the 8 minutes going to provide? You have a striker who, even when you play in your high pressing system, right, Matt? We say it all the time. Even if Giroud's given like 5 yards of space to run in behind, he can't do it. So what makes you think he's going to be able to do it in a counterattacking system where you're sitting all the way back? How is that possible?
And there was a couple instances. There was a couple instances too where, I mean, I use that very loosely here, right? Because we only had, I think, 27% possession in the entire game. I think first half was like 26.
Yeah.
And you look at the touches of the strikers, right? So we couldn't even get out of our own end.
Yep.
And we couldn't string together multiple passes to even progress the ball forward. So when Milan did get the ball out and they did try and push it forward, it was pushing it forward to the edge with 3 defenders and no one play. No layout. No RG. There's nobody there. So I just, it's really odd because it's one thing to stick to your system and to say, hey, you know what, Adley, it's your turn. Frank, it's your turn. And if it went south, I'd be like, you know what? At least he picked the right guys. In my mind, at least he picked the right guys. Yassin Adli, we haven't seen him. They spent $10 million on him. He can play that position. He is skilled enough on the ball. He's mobile enough with the ball and with the decision making to make the right pass and to pick the right pass when it's needed. He's got the vision. He could dribble pretty well. He offered quite a bit in preseason. Granted, it's preseason. Why isn't he playing in that role? And people were saying in the build-up to this game, well, Messi's played a lot of games in Crotone. That's Crotone. This is Milan, and this is the derby. This isn't the opportunity for you to say, hey, you know what? He's going to play him as a Mezzala. And hope
also not a young player, as you mentioned, compared to what Adli is.
I'd rather him say, you know what? Everyone's been calling for Franks. Everyone's been calling for Adli. Everyone's been calling for Chow. If he played that lineup, we got played off the park and we lost 3-4-0. I'd be like, you know what? Credit for him for putting the guys out there that we haven't seen. For people to judge Malik Chow like, oh well, hey, Liverpool. I saw the comments. Liverpool spun him around. Like the guys
you saw that. You saw
minutes.
that. Yeah.
The guys played 120 minutes. Everyone gravitates and latches onto the negative when it comes to the young players. They don't look at the positives. They don't look at the games where Malik Chow came in and saved us versus Verona. They don't look about that, right?
No.
Even with the same thing when we had Kalulu come in a couple seasons ago, and he had to come in because of an injury, and in the defense, he did a great job, right? No one will say Kalulu. They always hang their hat on the issues and the wrong things. Yep. And this isn't a singular player problem. This isn't because
multiple. Every summer signing, essentially. That's younger.
Signing. But what bothers me is that we can say that, but at the same token, can we really fairly say that? And what I mean by that is, can we really say that Franks and Malik Chow have been flops? Have they been disappointing? They haven't gotten minutes. Call me liar. Between the two players in Serie A, they've gotten under 300 minutes combined.
And CDK, if you want to even go there, sparingly, hasn't started since October. Started once.
I refuse to believe that we have three young players that we just signed. I refuse to believe that these guys are moping around training. They're not doing anything in training that would convince you that they're really not ready. They're not even picking up how to play tactically. Like they just don't fit at all.
How is it?
It doesn't make sense to me. But also, it's a reflection the fact that you're buying young players on a limited budget that you can't use. So what was the point of that? It's one thing like when we had this project in 2019 and in early 2020, where you know what, let's give Leao that rope. Let's give him that leeway. We played him. We ran him out there as a second striker, as a top striker by himself on the wings. Let him failure because failure
and it took a lot
is needed for a lot of these young players. The only way they're going to grow is for them to fail and to learn from their mistakes. Correct. So what do? Malik Chow has a good game against Verona. He doesn't sniff the pitch. What does Astor Franks do against Fiorentina? Makes an impact off the bench. Doesn't sniff the pitch. Yassin Adli has a good preseason. Doesn't sniff the pitch. So I don't understand that. And I don't understand the fact that with those guys that you brought in for 5 and 12 million with an option in Malik Chow and Franks, how you can properly gauge whether or not those options and those fees are justified. So you know what's going to happen with Franks, right? Here's what's going to happen. I've seen this story many times.
Good chance, he's not going to stay.
We're going to try and say, well, they're going to try to negotiate down the option. Wolfsburg are going to say, no, because you didn't give him a chance to play. So we're going to take him back. We'll see if maybe we can loan him out. He's going to go get loaned out to another German team. And then that German team is going to do pretty well with him because they're going to give him and afford him that opportunity to play that I'm just saying about failing. And then they're going to get sold and that everyone's going to say, why did Maldini do this? Why did Maldini do that? Because the coach doesn't play him. The coach does not play him.
It's a joke, and Maldini should have stepped in, and Masada should have stepped in. The second, Adli is the perfect one. Man, I don't give a damn.
You got him a summer early. He's summer early. For what reason? To loan him out for him to do well at Bordeaux.
Well,
you get him back and then not play him.
All right. Well, let me just get the thought in here. Like, why isn't he loaned out? How many times remember we seen the reports every single time we talk? We see that not just the Sampdoria stuff. Even over back in June, right? Adli arrives. The rumors are Pioli isn't convinced yet. Convinced of what? If you're not convinced of anything, loan him out. Put him out in Serie A. The logistics of this isn't making sense because if you want to keep him, his value is only going to go down if you're not playing him. By the way, And then on top of it, you're not loaning him out to get experience. The manager that has him here isn't trustworthy, okay? This manager, all right, and Pioli, never trusts a young player. He never can. Any single time a player got a chance, it was because he had no choice. It's because he had no choice. It's absolutely unbelievable. And the funny thing to me is, I think Maldini and Masada and even Moncada should be more aggressive and tell him what to do. I don't like micromanagement, but it's at a point where you're not trusting the players we're scouting. You're not trusting the ones that we bought for you, and you're saying they're not good enough. Matt, you know what the track record is when these players get in and they play and they start. It's a high success rate with this management. And this guy is not trusting anybody. And it's unbelievable because his job is on the line and he's refusing to change it. And there's nothing left to say about that because he deserves the sack whenever it's coming. And I don't care who the replacement is at this point. Right now, you have to do something else. And so again, we'll go to Torino now because we didn't want to spend too much time on this. We saw what the formation was now. It's a 3-back system still. Same 3 backs that we saw. We have Spurs on Tuesday. Still don't understand why Chiara could get 2 potential starts with this. They're hoping that Tomori and Bennacer recovered in time. Zlatan is reportedly coming back for this, but he's obviously not starting. Giroud starts again. We have Brahim up top on the right. Leao's back in the starting lineup. Oh, geez, I wonder what made him want to do that. And then on top of it, it's the same midfield setup. Tell me how Shaw doesn't get the start. So we saw Vito Angele say that in the predicted 11 that Chow was in there, but then we also see Di Marzio. No disrespect to either reporter here. I'm just more inclined to trust Di Marzio with this. With Di Marzio having this, I mean, dude, how is it possible Chow is not going to start? Can you explain it to me? And I'm not even trying to be rhetorical here. Talk to me like I'm a fucking idiot. Because I feel like one. I don't understand where the logic is coming from, and I know we just covered that. But how? How does it make sense, man? Tell me.
It doesn't, and I think it's one of those things too, where again, I think it's stubbornness. It's I'm the coach. I think this player is correct. I'm going to put out the guys I think that can do the job. And at some point, when you do enough of that, now the fan base is you already lost the fan base. The fan base doesn't trust you, so that's gone. Yeah. It's one thing if you probably lost the locker room. At least the morale is very low. And a lot of these players who are looking around thinking if not now, when? I understand if a team's doing well and they're in a positive moment, like Brahim, for example, and CDK and some of these other players, if the guys ahead of them are doing a smashing job and they're playing well and they're scoring goals, hey, we all know it. You go with the hot hand. You go with what's getting results. No problem. But if you keep running out the same players and they're just not getting results, they're just not delivering for you. Do you change something, or do you just say, let's run it out there and eventually it'll work? I just don't get it. And I don't get the fact that what's going to happen in this game is I guarantee you it's going to be a very tight game, right? Very tight game. The way I'll give you my early prediction in this. I don't actually think we lose this game. I think we draw and we look bad and we almost lose. That's what I think actually is going to happen. That's truly what I think is going to actually happen in this game. And the hot seat's only going to get hotter for him because
on a shortened week.
And everything's just going to be that much more intense for that Tottenham game. And that can be the final nail in the coffin where if you're not careful, disregard Tottenham all you like. They're a Premier League team.
Harry Kane will kill
as their coach with some very good players
he won't
that
be
are always in that top 4 conversation. They could smack you around and they can actually make it look really bad. Really bad.
Son versus Davide Calabria. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He will eat him alive. Richarlison, eat them alive. Okay? And so the point there, even with Calabria, dude, Serginho Dest as a wing back even. Far better quality.
He can't play in the Tottenham game. He's on.
Well, not the Spurs. I was going back to the Torino part.
Yeah. Play him as a wing back.
How is it possible? Because like you were saying, which is a great point, if the hand is hot, you don't bench a guy like Leao. You don't bench a Teo. Teo looked actually a little bit more lively, like he had more energy in the derby. Yeah. Not a great match again. But here's the thing. Why are we Calabria is not a good defender in general. He's just not.
He's never been.
He's not a good Milan level player, okay? He's a reserve at best. I was shocked they won the league with him. He also didn't play as much, okay? Kalulu's a better right back in a 4-back system. I've clamored for this for God knows how long. Even you yourself like him there because we see the technical ability. I don't even know how it's a. I'm sorry, Pioli's just a bad manager at this point. He just is, and it's
Crazy
going
how
to
he's
cost
lost
him.
it so quickly too, right? It's crazy how things have changed in a matter of months with this guy. Like months. Like
I mean, it's not that crazy in the set. It is crazy in that sense, but it's not that crazy when you see it unfold. When you see a guy consistently shooting himself in the foot like this and trotting out guys that are just, it's killer. It's killer, man. It's killer. And then the Magnan stuff, we don't even know when he's back. Okay. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. To me, dude, right? Yeah. I mean, for this, I don't understand it. I think it's killing. And it's the really funny thing too, Matt. There's a sizable difference. Juve is going to get another penalty. I think that's almost a given. I was reading the Chiellini messages via WhatsApp today, trying to decipher as best I could in Italian. But they were there. There were rumors about them. They exist. Okay. They're going to get another point deduction. I'm not too worried about them in this top 4 chase. Matt, we're right there. Okay. And we, on paper, have a talent advantage. Okay. We could do this if we fix this sooner than later because there's still a lot of season left. The difficult part of I'm still I'm still of the mindset of like if you just change up what you're screwing up right now and you get someone else new in perhaps or Pioli finally turns on the light bulb, then there's something there. Okay, I think you have enough to do that in this league. I'm just I every time I'm like, okay, surely after the derby you have to change something, and then Matt, we just see this lineup, man. How do you not get enraged if you're a fan? And what is the thing? I know I keep sounding like a broken record here and I'm beating this dead horse and I'm asking this question, but it's like, what does he see? I want to hear in the press conference. This is where I think Italian journalism is lacking. Where in the press conference are we asking, why are you going with the same players that have been struggling? Do you not think a Yassine Adli could help you? Do you not think a Charles de Ketelare could help you? Do you not think an Astor Franks who showed more in limited time? Remember, we were also down a man against Sampdoria because Leao into the overhead kick. It's just funny to me. But like he played well. He played well. What's the difference? What's the difference? God damn it! Like change it. Like do something. You cannot be possibly justifying this. There's no way. There's no way, man.
And that's another thing too. The media doesn't like, from what I'm reading, the media, like the main reporters and people they don't press like in US media, US market. It would say, there's been a lot of talk about this player, that like why isn't he playing? And they would press him. Oh, well, we think this is the best. These guys aren't getting results. Why do you keep playing them?
Any quarterback, any New York Yankee player, any New York Yankee manager.
Any big market. And they see Milan, that's a big market, big club, right? So naturally pressure, the intensity,
of course,
the lights are going to be bright, right? So they're always going to be like, why didn't you do this? They're going to second guess everything you do, and they're going to really kind of dissect everything, every decision you make. So why aren't these players playing? When you have injuries, you actually have injuries. There's opportunity. The guys ahead are not doing a bang up job. Why aren't
Tonali's got to be exhausted, bro? He's got to be exhausted.
It's again, it's mind blowing. Even like if you feel like you don't have options, call up someone from the Primavera who can run in behind a defender. Something.
Don't you love how Lasetic scored 17 seconds in to his team's debut?
It's irony. It's just always irony. It's like, oh, this guy goes on loan.
You know what's like funny?
We could have used that, couldn't we?
Yeah. You know how scared of a manager this guy is? Davide Calabria, okay? At the end of the Lazio match, I believe. Okay? Everybody looked like he was hurt. Okay? He wasn't practicing in full the entire week. Then he gets some like solo training, and then all of a sudden he's good to start. If you have so many options at right back, okay, where you could put slot Chow in if you wanted your 4-back system and play a right back like in Kalulu there or Dest, okay? Why are you risking a player that's potentially hurt? And then he keeps going with him. And he's clearly physically lacking. Physically. Forget the tactics of how bad he is. Physically can't do it. He cannot cut it.
He gets put in a
We've
blender
seen him
all
since
the
he
time.
was 18 at this club, coming up, playing out of position at a left back, right? Okay. This guy has had a bevy of injuries to his lower body, and he's trying to play intense, high level modern football. You cannot cut it at this level. You cannot. And forget about the rumors of what he's doing as well, okay? Because there's an ethics breach, in my opinion. But we won't get into that. So you say draw. We'll wrap it up with a prediction here. 1-1, I assume? Or 0-0?
I go 1-1. Get some sort of fluky goal because somebody. Then again, I don't even. Do we even score a goal? Because Vanja Milinkovic-Savic is not a bad goalkeeper, and we saw what he did in the Coppa Italia game, right? So, like, do we even score a goal the way we're playing? Is it a moment of magic from Leao? It's the only reason why we're able to get a goal. And of course, it's ironic, right, that we're talking about Leao. We're always talking about Leao. He created the best chance that we had in that game, and Giroud, and no discredit to him.
Oh yeah, in the derby, yeah.
Yeah, in the derby. He's usually very good on the ball and very sure-handed, good touch.
Awful,
he mishandles it. That in that very same spot in the box that he had that little like twist turn goal with the left foot in the derby last year. It's like everything kind of was playing out in my head, and like everything that went right in this moment last year has gone completely shit this year.
Yeah, well, they're pulling a rabbit out of the hat often. They were outperforming X points, if you're into that. They're doing it again this year, funnily enough. Fiorentina, one of those examples. There's a chance to salvage this. And we're Italian background, okay? I have tons of relatives like this. You know, the stubbornness is unbound. It's you never seen anything like it. And it's just another testament here. And Pioli's own worst enemy at this point is himself. And it's sad because he was here in the highest of highs of turning this club around. And now, to quote Harvey Dent, he's lived long enough to see himself become the villain. And that's sad, man. And that's under 12 months. That's very hard to do. That tattoo is still fresh. And we're sitting here like this. And you know what? My emotions, I don't give a damn, man. No offense to the guy. Love him. He'll forever have a special place in Milanisti's hearts. There's no denying that. But bro, pack your bags. Time to go. This is Milan. We've moved on from other greats, other great managers, great players that ended up being managers, great players that were sold off, that left for free. If we survived and came back, we could say goodbye to Stefano Pioli. I think it's time for that. Matt, if you were to say he were to manage his last game for Milan, when do you think that is? I don't think he lasts through the season. You just can't. I think there's going to be something that happens. I think they get a caretaker of sorts, or somebody steps in.
I think there's a real possibility that we get a similar Brocchi situation, like later in the season. Like, I mean, we're already thinking about this. We're already.
Does he make it to Easter? I don't know when Easter is this year. I think Good Friday is this Friday.
I don't know.
You don't have to Google Easter.
No. I'm just in my head. I'm thinking like, how many games do I realistically see him going more before? It's a weird situation because I think unlike previous managers that have gotten sacked, he's won something, and it's one of those things where as long as they're relevant in the conversation in the chase for top four, then I think he might stay on. In those other terms and those other instances with like, people Inzaghi and Seedorf and whatever, we were not in contention for anything. So it's just like, let's just make the change now. Like what does it matter? Right. But would it be fair to say that maybe if in April we're not where we need to be and we're not in that conversation for a top four, is it 6, 7 games, 8 games where they let him go? No, he's not going to be the coach next year. They bring in Abate, and Abate takes care of the rest of the team the rest of this year. That's a possibility. I think it's a possibility.
Congratulations to him to advancing to the round of 16 in the UEFA Youth League. the only Italian team
I
to
don't
do
know.
so.
I just really don't know because the more I think about it, I just don't know who else they would get.
You know what I would be terrified of, and I just randomly thought of it: Claudio Ranieri. For 6 months, Claudio, get us to the Champions League. Yeah. Anyways, Matt, always great doing this with you. Sorry, I kept dropping the top of my water bottle cap. Again, appreciate everybody that's been tuning into lives, previews. We love doing these podcasts of sorts. Subscribe to State of Play if you haven't already. Trying to get a new episode in there. Trying to do a preview for the Champions League, so stay tuned for that. We'll see if we can go post-match. It's Friday's a little difficult. I got things going on as well. But yeah, to be honest with you, time is ticking for Stefano Pioli. Any final thoughts, Matt? Just plug your stuff. As usual, it's been on the ticker the entire time.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter. You guys can see it on the ticker below at Matt_Santangelo. Just put out an article for Football Italia on what's going on with Milan. To kind of assessed some of the weird decision makings or lack thereof with regards to the January market, why they didn't get certain players, why are they penny pitching, what's going on with Redbird, what's the issue there. So anything I'm working on, just follow me on Twitter. All my updates and information will be there.
Yeah, and just follow me at Martino Puccio everywhere. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. It's growing relatively fast. I really appreciate everybody supporting the stuff. I'm Sempre Milan. I also have the shorts on there and just detailing little videos. I had 2 come out today, one on this Mike Magnan mystery and also the projected lineup for this game as well.
We get to talk about that, but that's a whole
no, I don't want to bring that up on here. I don't want to get a strike for what the rumor is. But anyways, we appreciate all of you, and we'll see you hopefully after a win.